Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon. So I'm back again, as I promised, this time with number system, which is one of the most interesting chapters as far as aptitude exams are concerned, whether it is CAT or IBPS or SSC. So the paper setters never miss out on this particular chapter. Although there are many concepts in numbers, starting from rules of divisibility, understanding even numbers, odd numbers, prime and composite numbers, the rules related to LCM and HCF, the rules about unit digits or their cyclicity. It talks about how many zeros appear at the end of n factorial. We talk about factors and their properties and the count of factors. Particularly we talk about remainders. So you can understand it's not possible to cover so many concepts only in one such live sessions. But definitely this session will be helping you to understand a variety of questions which have come in various competitive exams from the chapter of numbers. All right. So without wasting time, let me take you through some of those, and I'm sure that you will find the solutions pretty interesting. But while I discuss, always as I expect from each of you, please keep on sharing your comments, and I can see a couple of people have already joined, so I'll not waste much of time, so I'll get started with the discussion. All right, so please look at some of the interesting questions from this chapter. All right, so while the screen sharing is being done, I would like to share the first question with you verbally. You can try this question, and then we can definitely look at the solution while the screen sharing is completed. It says, it's a very simple question. It says, if you look at four prime numbers, so it says that the average of four prime numbers is 12.25. All right, so it says the average of four prime numbers is 12.25. So which number must be one of these, right? So as you can see on your screen, probably now it is visible to you. You can see our focus areas on number systems categorically. So here we go with the first question, guys. Average of four prime numbers is 12.25. Which number must be one of these? So this question needs a bit of understanding. First of all, how we look at these four prime numbers. Definitely it cannot be done with hit and trial. It will take a hell lot of time. Even after that, you may not be sure, right? So it requires very fundamental conceptual clarity. So if I can help you on this, let me see if I can help you. You look at four prime numbers as let me, if the average of these numbers, if the average is 12.25, what will be the sum of these numbers? That is, of course, 12.25 into 4, which is definitely 49. Now we know that 49 happens to be an odd number, no doubt about it, right? 49 is an odd number. I repeat, the prime numbers are usually odd. If you look at examples like 3, 5, 7, 11, so while I write because of which the slides are not being visible. Please give me a while I reconnect with you. All right, so I think now it is visible definitely, right? Okay, so you can see the question on your screen. All right, I guess you can see the question on your screen, guys. Okay, so you can just give me a while. I'll reconnect. All right, so we are back, right? So let us see if I got any response on this. Pretty interesting. They have said, is the 5-digit number KLM35 a perfect square? Right, of course the options are almost in binary, always yes, always no, no more often, cannot be determined. So we'll check that out, we'll definitely check that out. First of all, let me tell you something very interesting. If there is any number, let's say if I talk about the square of 35, so you see whenever the last digit is 5, the last two numbers in the square will be 25. Or in other terms, we can say that if in a perfect square, if the last digit is 5, that means the base had 5 in the units place. And if the base had 5 in the units place, then the last two digits of the square must be 25. which means it is never possible to have a perfect square where the last two digits are 3 and 5, which is why our answer is always no. It is not possible that KLM35 will be a perfect square. All right. So that is how you can handle this kind of questions. Let me take you to the next one. So this one is from LCM and HCF. Now let me see if I get some response on this. All right. So if I can read this question, it says uh, there are ABC positive integers are there, and the HCF of AB is 10, LCM of AB is 30, HCF of BC is 6, LCM of BC is 60, HCF of CA is 2, LCM of CA is 60. So what is the value of A into B into C? Now there is a property of numbers which says that the product of two numbers is equal to the product of the LCM and HCF. All right, so we'll use this property. For example, if I look at this information where they have said HCF of AB is 10 and LCM of AB is 30, of course we can say that A into B will be equal to their LCM into HCF. So we can definitely write that A into B will be 10 into 30. In the same way, from the next two information, if you see for B and C, I can definitely say B into C will be equal to 6. If I consider the next one, which is HCF of CA and LCM of CA, we can say C into A will be equal to 2 into 60. Now you see, if I combine all these three, what do we get? In fact, I will multiply all the left hand sides. If I multiply, I will get A into B into C whole square on the left hand side, and in the right hand side I will get 10, I will get 30, I will get 6, I will get 60, I will get 2, and I will get another 60. Now we need to express this in the form of a perfect square. So let me see how best we can do that. Now you see, we get a pair of 60s out here, so we get a 60 square. All right, now you see we have one more 60 coming up there, 10 into 6 that is, and we get another 63 in 30 into 2 that is, which means we get another 60 square. All right, which is A into B into C whole square. So of course, if I look at A into B into C, that will be square root of this entire expression, which will be 60 into 60, which is 3600. All right, so our answer to this question will be 3600. Yes, interesting. So basic knowledge about LCM and HCF. Okay, I hope that was clear to everyone. So let me take you to the next one. In fact, all these questions, let me tell you, have been taken from some of the past papers. These are very similar questions which have been asked in many past exams, including government jobs and MBA entrance exams, and also to some extent some campus placement jobs. All right, so let's try the next one, which is again from LCM and HCF concepts. You can see now, before I solve this question, I need to tell you something important about LCM and HCF as a basic property. So if I see two numbers n1 and n2, if I know that their HCF is H, you know the numbers can be written as HK1 and HK2 if K1 and K2 are co-prime. Now what is co-prime? Co-prime means a pair of numbers which so those kind of numbers are called co-prime. All right, not only that, the LCM of these two numbers will be 100. will be written as h times of k1 into k2. All right, so that is a basic property which we will use to solve this sum. So let us look at that. So first of all, they have said that the two numbers h, x and y, so I'll express those as hk1 and hk2 respectively. So I can definitely say hk1 plus hk2 is equal to 105. All right, and then from this property we can write h times of k1 and k2 will be equal to 180. Yes, now simply divide these two. So if I divide these two, h goes out, then we have k1 plus k2 divided by k1 k2, that comes out to be 105 by 180, which is of course, if I divide by 15 it will become 7 by 12. So if you see, the left hand side looks like 1 by k1 plus 1 by k2. All right, while if you look at the right hand side, 7 by 12 can be written as 1 by 3 plus 1 by 4, isn't it? So I'm kind of applying an intuitive method. So we can definitely consider k1 as 3 and k2 as 4. If that is so, we can say 3 into h plus 4 into h will be equal to 105. So this helps me to find the value of h. So h definitely will become 15, because you can see that, sorry, this will be 4h, guys. So you can see that h is 15 and k1 is 3, k2 is 4. So I can see the numbers are 45 and 60. All right, now this sign represents modulus, which means the difference between x and y. So we got the values of x as 45 and y as 60. So of course the difference has to be 15. All right, so your answer to this question will be 15. That is option number 4. Yes. So a fundamental application of the concepts of LCM and HCF. All right, so let me take you to the next one. I hope you are liking the solutions, and the questions definitely are very, very relevant for your exams. So the next, how many factors of 12,000 are multiples of 30? All right, how many factors of 12,000 are multiples of 30? Now here, something important for you to know, if I look at a number which is expressed as n, understand, if I express n as a to the power x into b to the power y into c to the power z, where a, b, c are prime numbers, then the number of factors of n will be given as into z plus 1 number. All right, just for your knowledge, I thought I should share that. Now look at this question over here. So if I look at this number 12,000, I can definitely express 12,000 as 30 into 400. All right, now can we see the factors of 400? Now the factors of 400 will be, if I list down 1, 2, 4, etc., and it will go up to 400 itself. Now understand the logic, guys. Every time I multiply 30 with one such number, I will definitely get a multiple of 30, which is what I want. And at the same time, that product will also be a factor of 12,000, isn't it? For example, 30 into 1, 30, 30 into 2, 60, 30 into 4, 120, and that will go on up to 30 into 400, which is 12,000. So it makes sense to list down the number of factors of 400. So the number of multiples of 30, which will be the factors of 12,000, will be as many as the factors of 400 itself. All right, now if I want to count the number of factors of 400, I need to do prime factorization first. So 400 looks like 2 to the power 4 into 5 square. All right, that is 16 into 25. So the number of factors, of course, will be, so if I look at this fundamental, so that will be 5 into 3, which is 15, which means my answer to this question will be 15. I hope that was clear to all of you. Okay, so I will take you to the next one. Yes, so please go through this question, pretty interesting question. So please uh, try to understand what they are trying to interpret, or what does it mean. Once you understand the meaning, the solution is not difficult at all. So over here, what does it mean when they say the maximum and minimum number of prime factors? So they have said a few things which are important for you to understand. One is they have talked about prime factors. They are talking about the minimum and the maximum, and they want you to find one number which will have 27 factors. Now this is most important. Just in the previous slide, if I can take you back, I talked about how to find the number of factors. All right, so that will be so for a number which is a to the power x into b to the power y into c to the power z, the number of factors will be given as x into 1 into y plus, sorry, x plus 1 into y plus 1 into z plus 1, that is. So guys, think about it. If I look at a number n, consider a number n, can I look at a number as a to the power 26, where of course a is prime? So how many factors will it have? Of course it will have 26 plus 1, which is 27 factors, right? Now how many prime factors does it have? Only one prime factor, that is a itself. While I could also express this number as a to the power 8 into b square. Think about it. How many factors will it have? That is 8 plus 1 into 2 plus 1, which is 9 into 3. Again, it will have 27 factors, right? So how many prime factors does it have in that case? That will be 2, which are, we could also do another thing, is to consider this number as a square into b square into c square. So in that case, there will be 3 into 3 into 3, that means 27 factors again. But in that case, how many prime factors do I have? I have 3 prime factors, all right, which are, so what is the maximum and minimum number of prime factors? Those are, so minimum number of prime factors is 1 and the maximum number of prime factors is 3. So the difference between these two, that is 1 and 3, will be your answer, which is 2. All right, so your answer to this question will be 2. Okay, so I hope that was clear. So an excellent example of understanding of factors. Okay, so I will take you to the next one right away. Please go through this. Now this time I am changing the variety or the concept. Now this time it is from the concepts of remainders. So please go through this, pretty interesting. So it says, what is the remainder when I divide 16 to the power 5 plus 17 to the power 5 plus 18 to the power 5 plus 19 to the power 5 is divided by 35. Now you should know there is a concept which says for a number which looks like a to the power n plus b to the power n, it is divisible by a plus b if n is odd. Okay, so if the power is odd, then this expression a to the power n plus b to the power n will be divisible by a plus b. So let's see how do we apply it over here. So you see, if I look at this expression, 16 power 5 plus 17 power 5 plus 18 power 5. So please understand, if I look at these two expressions, 16 power 5 plus 19 power 5, we can say that this part will be divisible by 16 plus 19, right? Coming from here. So this is the concept which we are applying, which is equal to 35, of course, which means, again, if I look at this portion, so the sum of 17 power 8, 17 to the power 5 plus 18 to the power 5, this sum we can say that this will also be divisible by 70. So separately we could find two separate portions are both divisible by 35, which means the entire expression will be divisible by 35, all right, and hence the remainder will be 0. Correct? So this question, in fact, was asked in one of the MBA entrance exams, one of the most popular MBA entrance exams. So the answer to this question is 0. All right, a typical question on remainders. Let me now take you to the next one. Please go through this. While, let me tell you, while the expression looks little horrible, on the right hand side, especially 100 to the power 101 to the power 102, it is an absolute googly, I must tell you. Now, please understand, guys, look at a number 1000. If I divide 1000 by 8, what do you think is the remainder? The remainder is 0. Why? Because 1000 is perfectly divisible by 8. So can we not say that any number where the last 3 digits are 0 will always be divisible by 8? I repeat, any number having the last 3 digits as 0 will always be divisible by 8. Now look at this number, guys. It is 100 power x, where x is a large number itself, which is 101 power 102. So which means I am going to multiply 100 with itself so many times. 3 digits will be 0. In fact, many other digits apart from the 3 digits will be 0. Hence, of course, this number will always be perfectly divisible by 8. And hence, your answer to this question will be 0. Wasn't it interesting? All right. So I'll take you to the next one. I hope that was clear to all of you. All right. So let me take you to the next one. Please try this. So it says this time a number when divided by 48 leaves a remainder of 25. So what will be the remainder when the same number is divided by 12? Now look at it. If I look at a general expression of this number that they have talked about, they have said when I divide it by 48, the remainder is 25. So definitely we can express this number as 48 times k. 48, then of course k will be the